Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order this Haslet City Council meeting, May 5th, 2025, at 7:02 p.m. There is a quorum present. And if you bow your heads with me, I'll offer an invocation, then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, gracious Father in heaven. We thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for your guidance, and we thank you for your love. We ask for your continued guidance and direction and directing our steps. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizen participation and comments. Do we have any comment cards fill out? Do we have anybody online? All right then, let's go to item 4, community interest. Brush Day and limb drop off is May 10th, next Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. It again is on Schoolhouse Road, 791 Schoolhouse Road, where the Public Works building is. Yeah. There will be a special meeting of City Council meeting May 13th to canvass the general election and administer the oath of office and statement of officer. Memorial Day, May 26, 2025. All city offices will be closed in the observance of Memorial Day. Our Memorial Day celebration will be held May 26 at 10 a.m. at the Memorial Garden in the community park. There's an opportunity to sponsor a flag to be placed at the Memorial Garden for either Memorial Day or Independence Day, July the 4th. Visit our website and sponsor a flag. Updates on active items, projects, and event recaps. Municipal. This is a overview by Mr. Tucker. It'll be the MS4 program. It is the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Water System. And this is a educational program that must be presented in accordance with the state requirements.
Yep, TCQ. If you're ready, good evening, Council. So I'm sure what everybody's thinking is, what does MS4 stand for? And it stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. So basically, TCQ and I guess EPA and by extension TCQ all the way down to us requires municipalities that are considered in urban areas to basically ensure that all the stormwater that's collected in the stormwater system is being discharged to lakes and rivers in a way that we're not picking up any kind of excess pollutants. So what they've done is they issue a permit. So each entity is given a permit on the quality of what's discharged back into the waterways. Some are required to have treatment, we are not. But what is required is for us to set up a stormwater management plan. And so our stormwater management plan is what regulates what we're doing in order to meet that permit standard they set for everybody. So basically the charge is to pollutants from its MS4 to the maximum extent practicable. We're supposed to reduce that to as much as we possibly can. And so when they developed this SWIP plan, there's several different components of it. So as you see here, you have to have all these components of it. We really only have to have 1 through 6 because we are under this population. And so all these components, are things like public education and outreach, public involvement and participation. And that's what this component here is. Once a year, we are to give you all an update, allow anybody that wants to speak to it, but at least let you know what's going on and give the public a chance to hear about it, be educated, or have questions. These other, this 3 and 4 here, we're supposed to be, the main components of it, as people are building and there's construction, that we're making sure they have things in place in order to keep runoff from these construction sites, silt getting into the waterways. And so that's a lot of times the majority of it. So beyond the education and doing just general prevention at construction sites, we also have to monitor long-term and do cleanings in those systems, so removing out of the collectors and things like that. So just to make sure we all know what we're talking about here, I mean, stormwater, this is RCP pipe, reinforced concrete pipe. That's your typical, what you're seeing that's under the ground, that's connected to these inlets. And as you can imagine, all sorts of stuff gets washed down there. Trash, even like pesticides and car wash, chemicals as well. And they're not always look like this. This right here is another example of a stormwater collection system. This is going through ditches, but basically this city has to catalog all these and make efforts to get these clean. And even these lids right here are part of that permit. That's part of ours. As we said, we're going to put these type of lids on to help people realize that don't pour stuff in here. These are going to the drains and streams. So on this next one, this is just a little sample of it. So as you can see, all these circles represent inlets. So this is where stormwater would come into the system. It'd flow through underground pipes, and all these triangles are where they are outfalls. So as you see, most of these outfall into a detention pond that helps slow everything down, and then ultimately it's going into these little tributaries and streams, and then eventually most likely hitting Trinity River and on. So we're really just having to take care of what's leaving our stormwater system to the discharge points. And so some of the things they talk about is best management practices. So this is usually broken up into 2 different ones. You have structural BMPs, and then you also have just the good housekeeping methods and the educational initiatives. So another example is that our once a year at our National Night Out, we hand out information about of ways that you can prevent getting some pollutants out there. So we do several of those as a part of this permit. But the most common ones that people think of when they think of BMPs, they think of silt fence, geotextiles, detention ponds, retaining walls, things like that. Even the fire department, they help out with this. Their spill prevention programs. The fact that we have a program in place that in the event that we have a spill of diesel or things like that, the fire station will respond to those and prevent this from entering the waterways. Let's see. Here's just a handful of pictures. So if you ever go through new construction sites, the silt fence you see here, that's the entire premise as it's holding back all this soil when we have heavy rains until that grass gets established. The same thing here. A lot of times people see these as if they're, damming up the water, but the intention is to catch all the mud and silt and allow the water to roll over the top. Now, all these require regular maintenance. You have to clean these to make these effective. Down here is a geogrid. So these plastic pieces that they lay down, then they fill with soil or gravel, and that helps hold that material in place until you get the permanent vegetation. So these are all things you would see on any given construction site, and a lot of our enforcement on these projects come from code enforcement as well as regular inspections from us. And really that's the really quick, short, and simple of it, and I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions if anybody had any.
Very good, James. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's go to Haslet Parkway. Haslet Parkway, the project, as you can see here, out to what is known as Station 69. If you could put your cursor, Station 69. So from Intermodal Parkway to Station 69, there's 4 lanes, 2 lanes each direction with the median, and it is poured. And the contractor is on site now and has been for probably over a month doing the finish work on it with the intent to open this entire section to public travel mid to late summer. We have not been given a definite date. But this will allow for the connection if you could point to Sweetgrass Boulevard. Yes, right there. That connection has been made, and when this from Intermodal to Station 69 is opened up to the public, that'll allow those residents to utilize that roadway. And Mr. Tucker, I've got a problem here. Can you come and look at my screen? I grabbed the side of the monitor. How do I get rid of that?
1 second.
Thank you. Well, I have one. There we go. Likewise, intermodal, if you could point to intermodal. Right here. There is a development being actually under construction now in the southeast corner of that intersection, and that connection intermodal will be made along with that project, and that'll be forthcoming here in the near future, and that'll allow traffic both from Caraway and Sweetgrass to utilize that roadway to Haslet Parkway and make and avoid having to use Blue Mound Road, which they can still. They'll have either option.
Mayor Halsey?
Yes.
I had a question. It's a little farther east, but is Harmon Road completely open both directions? That's on
Will
the,
it be open in each
is it, well, I
direction?
saw somebody, I'm asking because on Westport, I saw somebody turn to go right, but there's still barricades if you're heading northbound. It looked like they were going south.
Oh, you're talking about from Haslet Parkway to the north?
To Westport, correct.
No intent to open it anytime soon.
So it's not open, so someone...
Now, there are developments up on the northeast or actually southeast and southwest corners of Haslet Parkway and Harmon, and the traffic you see turning in there is related
going
to
there,
that
okay.
only.
So what is the estimated time for that to be open?
For what? All
For
of?
Harmon?
There is none at this time.
Okay.
That entire roadway needs to be rebuilt, as many other of our projects, and much of it will be development driven,
Okay.
because those developments will participate in the reconstruction of that.
Okay, thank you.
Other roadways have higher priority. Okay. Fire station sanitary sewer project status. The primary construction of the line has been installed. Inspection of that project has been ongoing and is commencing. So they're at the, I'll say near the end of it, but they may be several months out. You want to comment on any of that, Mr.
Are you
Tucker?
on 5D?
Excuse me.
Are you on 5D, sir?
Yes.
Okay, what about
5D, the fire
5C?
station.
You skipped 5C.
I'll go back to it,
Okay.
and I did, thank you.
Okay.
While we're fire station sewer
Yes.
project, any comments on that status?
Yes, yeah, all the pipe has been installed, manholes are all installed. What's left is lots of cleanup, just compaction along the way. They also have testing, and they were going to be adjusting a handful of the manhole rings In certain areas, they're getting water infiltration due to some manufacturing it's the supplier for the manhole rings, and they're having those looked at, but substantial completion is getting really close.
I know there are still a number of quality issues, construction quality issues, or outstanding topics in the Maxwell area that are to be addressed prior to acceptance of this project, but they're in that phase now. Let's go to 5C. Keller Haslet Road Extension Project. Well, Friday at 10 o'clock, we had our ribbon cutting. The road was open at 1 a.m., 1 p.m., I'll get it right. So we had the ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. At 1 p.m., we took down the barricades and opened it up to public travel. As many of you have probably heard, there was an outcry from residents of Fort Worth to District 10. Why aren't there signal lights? Well, probably 10 months ago, TxDOT had directed the city of Haslet, though it was requested for signal lights, that TxDOT directed Haslet to open that roadway with a stop sign. And we did. But 2 weeks prior, I'll say a week prior to the road opening, there was an assembly of leaders in the North Texas area, and TxDOT agreed to review the warrant analysis again and determined that they will install those signal lights, and they're on a 3-month time frame to get those installed and operational within 3 months. So that's forthcoming. But I have observed, and many of us have, more than half, almost, of the traffic is taking that extension to FM 156 in lieu of coming through Old Town. So that's good. And they're not having near the problem of getting on FM 156 that those residents in Fort Worth thought they would have. So that's good news. But TxDOT is installing the signal lights, and 3 months sooner if they can, but construction, it could be 4 months, but their time frame is 3 months.
Mayor, relating to Keller Haslet Road right there, with the discussion with City of Fort Worth coming to us asking about, hey, putting a signal light up and TxDOT putting them in, are we looking for them to try to reimburse us for the infrastructure we put in? Because I thought that was part of the road. We were going to go ahead and put infrastructure in place, knowing at some point they were going to come in and put signals in.
That was all part of the project. And the infrastructure is there. And all the partners, it was a public-private partnership. Public-private meaning there were public entities, the city of Haslet, Tarrant County, and the city of Fort Worth. And private were 2 developers, primarily Hillwood and the Dollar Flowers Realty Group. At the very front end of the project, this project started 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago, but all the funding was cost shared with that. The lion's share borne by Tarrant County and the city of Fort Worth.
So, Mayor Halsey, just to add on that, so TxDOT provides a signal, but Haslet will provide the electrical and the utility. We already done that, or is that something we have to do still?
That is rain or weather permitting. That will start very soon. The roadway and grading had to be performed. Then Encore will come in to pull the wire.
Okay.
And this week we will get Encore's schedule. But I would expect that power will be laid within the next 2 or 3 weeks, way before TxDOT gets their equipment out there.
Okay, thank you.
And TxDOT does report that they have all the equipment that they need to install these signals. Fire station expansion project. It's going very well. It's on time. It's on schedule. We look forward to that opening, and I think, when is that, in this late summer? Do you
Yes,
recall?
I believe so. I'm not positive on the date.
But they've done a very good job so far. Good. Let's go to commercial activity update. Mr. Swanky, I'll let you present that, please.
Okay. There are a lot of things going on in the city, and we just want to run through most of them, but there are some other ones that are just in the beginning stages. But these are fairly active, and we are not going to give a lot of locations in a lot of these because, you know, we're sworn to secrecy, and a lot of times in what the product is going to be in the end. So I'm going to be vague on some and more specific on others. I'm going to start off with Laterra Commercial Development. There are 2 new office buildings that are planned, and their civil work is being done at this point, and this council has approved the site plan for those. There's also a fast food restaurant that's going to be, they're going through initial stages right now, and it'll be along State Highway 156. There's also a retail store along Westport Parkway that is also being planned, and also 10 plus acres of mixed retail, heavy commercial development also in the city. Then, of course, everybody's heard about Freeman Toyota. It has about 20 acres that is going to be between Harmon Road and I-35. And then there's Stream Realty industrial buildings that are currently under construction. And the buildings aren't, but the dirt work is going on right now. And when that comes to fruition, there will be 3 buildings. Building A will have 83,434 square feet. Building B will have 92,341 square feet, and Building C, which is along Pask, will have 321,590 square feet. And right now, with the rain we've had, all the equipment's parked right along Intermodal Parkway, and according to a person from Stream who is in the audience tonight, they're actually looking forward to getting that project finishing grading soon and hopefully putting some buildings up. We're also talking with another group that has a 190,000 square foot structure they want to build here in Haslet. Then another one that has a 1 million square foot footprint. And then there's also a trucking company along Westport Parkway. There's an outpatient day surgery center, which is on over 6 acres of land in the city. So we're quite active as far as the city staff working with all these developments that are going on. There's also a ribbon cutting that's going to be on May 9th. It's for Playcation Place, and this is just located east of the post office facility, south of Schlotsky's and Taco Bueno. And it's going to be, I sort of look at it as a small Chuck E. Cheese's without a lot of the activities, but it's going to be a play area and 3 party rooms for different groups that can go there with all the associated games and things that they can do.
And I'll pass on the event details for May 9th and invite council and others to that event, whomever is available.
Okay, thank you, Boris. On the, would it be the Stream Realty Group that's the development that's going to help us put intermodal connecting to Haslet Parkway?
Yes.
That's correct. In fact, all their equipment's right there parked along where that intermodal is going to be.
That'd be nice.
Very good. All right, council, let's move to our consent agenda. Approval of the April 21st, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes.
I meant to send an email and I forgot, but items 8B, C, and D do not have what the action occurred. And I apologize, I did the packet Friday and I completely forgot to email.
And what is with item 8B? Can you open up those minutes? Eight B. So you're just, this is with regard to the final plat?
So items 8B, 8C, and 8D don't have what the result of the action was. Or
You know
or the
what?
discuss
No,
and
they
consider.
don't.
So can I make a motion to continue it to the next meeting with that added? Is that
Yes.
appropriate? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to continue the 421 minutes to the following meeting.
There's a motion made to continue this item at the next city council meeting. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that, Mayor.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item 7A, discuss, consider, and act on assignment and assumption of rights and obligations under development agreement between the City of Haslet, New Era FW LLC, and NFV ES-W2 Fort Worth Alliance LLC, Noble Hospitality. And the for those who have been here a while, that is the current Wood Springs Hotel up on I-35 and just south of Haslet Parkway. And Mr. Page?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is pretty perfunctory. What it's about is this development agreement from 2018 for that hotel that the mayor just mentioned. The property owner is in the process of conveying the property to a new owner. As a part of that conveyance, they are also requesting our approval of conveying this development agreement as well to the new purchaser. And so what you have in front of you is an assignment. And essentially, this would be assigning all the obligations, rights obligations of the original purchaser to the new owner. And so over the last few weeks, I was kind of took the lead in drafting and revising this assignment. And so it is approved as to form. Again, nothing changes, no obligations have changed at all. It is simply a new entity that will be taking on this. And so assuming that you all approve it, the mayor will execute it and will send it off to the escrow agent for the buyer and seller on this property so that can be part of their transaction.
So there's no financial binding of the Haslet in any form or fashion on this?
Correct. And so just because the development agreement was approved by the council in 2018, the assignment must also be approved by the current council.
Mr. Page, what all is included in that development agreement?
The original development agreement?
Yes, sir. Like, is there any restrictions on what can be developed on the land? Is there a set acreage? Is it, just the background information since I wasn't when that, in 2018?
Sure. So the development agreement, generally speaking, does put in place certain restrictions on what can be and cannot be constructed on any specific piece of property. And so, again, this also predated my time as the city attorney, but this agreement pretty much did the same thing specific to this property. And so essentially they've developed it. There's not really any further obligations that the developer owes to the city, but the agreement is still in place, and so that's why they're having to assign it.
So there's no change to the 2018 agreement?
Makes sense.
All right, council. Would entertain a motion unless you have further questions or discussion.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an assignment and assumption of rights and obligations under development agreement between the City of Haslet, New ERA, FW LLC, and NFV ESW II Fort Worth Alliance LLC, Noble Hospitality, as presented.
Motion is made to approve the assignment and assumption of rights and obligations under development agreement between the City of Haslet, New Era FW LLC, and NFV ES-W2 Fort Worth Alliance LLC, Nobility Hospital. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. 7B, discuss, consider, and act on awarding a construction contract to MHB Construction, Inc. for Haslet Community Park site and drainage improvements. Is Mr. Anderson online?
I do not believe so. Let me double check. He is not.
All right, then. You or I will present this.
Okay. So as far as this project goes, these are all the drainage improvements we've been discussing at the last few, including a shade structure and park bench. And we have done the bid opening, and this is to award it. Here we go. City engineer had reviewed both two low bidders. This one we had not worked with previously, but he said based on references that they would like to recommend commence with this and award the bid to MHB Construction, and for an amount to not exceed $333,518.23 for the project.
There is an exhibit to show all the projects. Go to the exhibit.
Let me get to that. Okay, so is this the one you want?
This is the work that is included. Most of it is the trail itself. There are crossings and drainage that needs reworking, and the concrete tap trail needs reconstruction at those crossings. There are about there's four areas involved in that. And yes, under FM 156, and that's been needed for quite a while, as well as the upper area that is included as well. Also included in this is the picnic pavilion in Gamble Park, which will include a concrete foundation.
That's correct.
The city is self-purchasing the pavilion, which is not included in this contract, the pavilion cost. But the erection of it is. This contractor will erect that building. It's just a money-saving move to save on any markup, and it's easily obtained by the city. That's all in the budget. That's accounted for. And also there is a new park bench with shade structure, and then a shade structure to be installed for an existing park bench in the Gamble Park area. That is the contract. Do you have any questions specific, council?
So Mayor, if I heard you right, so the shade structures, allow around the, all-inclusive playground, that's not in the bid, but that's being paid for just out of a different bucket, but they are gonna be built with this
A
contract.
new park bench will be, as part of this contract with the shade structure you see up in the right-hand corner. and a shade structure for an existing bench will be installed.
Yeah. All right, good. No, that's needed.
So it is two of these style shade structures. It'll be two benches, which they will provide, submittals or equivalents. And then the pavilion that's currently at Gamble Park, we are purchasing that directly, so it'll be exactly the same one. They'll deliver it and be put up on
Okay.
site by the contractor.
No, that's good.
And if you go back to that item from the agenda item write-up,
This one here?
so there is the engineer's suggestion. They have vetted the contractor. All items he does check out, has all requirements in. So it would be, the recommendation is for $350,000. That includes the initial contract of $333,518.23, plus a contingency amount of $16,675.91 for your total of $350,194.14. And that is to MHB Construction.
So Mayor, we're only approving the contract. We don't have to make any motions for the park bench or the picnic pavilion, because was already approved.
Park benches are included. The pavilion, no, you do not.
Okay.
I just made note of that at the bottom, just so that you are aware. But only for this contract and this work that we've reviewed.
Okay. Then I'd like to make a motion to award the construction contract to MHB Construction Incorporated for Haslet Community Park site and drainage improvements for the amount of $350,194.14.
Motion is made to award this contract to MHB Construction for the Haslet Community Park site drainage improvements for an amount not to exceed $350,194.14. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, council. 7C, discuss, consider, and act on approving $43,795.02 from the contingency fund to supplement the dump truck budget line item of $150,000 for a total purchase price of $193,795.02. This was a budgeted line item. Our original estimate came from Tarrant County, not the vendor themselves.
Correct.
And when we went out to purchase, the vendor came back at $193,000. This will be a very beneficial piece of equipment for the city and Public Works to be more efficient, cut down on travel times with dump truck loads, but also facilitating sanding our roadways in, I'll say, icy weather conditions. We have one small dump truck and a sander, but nonetheless, Mr. Tucker, Director of Public Works, is requesting this piece of equipment. Please go ahead.
Sure. So like the mayor had said, during budget time, we had looked at a county spec for what they spec'd out for a truck. We want something similar because they service the county and the area with it. We thought we had a pretty healthy budget number for those, and for some of those reasons unknown, even that we came quite a bit under that, or it was over budget by quite a bit. Some of it had to do with availability of chassis, and there were some transmission shortages that kind of drove up the cost and caused some significant delays there. Beyond that, we are positive this is a fully built spec truck ready to order, so it is exactly what you see here. And, you know, like I said, we'll probably take a different approach in future requests to make sure we are closer on that number. But
Would you go to the second page of this? Our budget, we had 150, we do have 150,000 already in the budget. We're asking to take the 43,795 and 2 cents from contingency with the current balance 677,506. We have more than ample funds. If you scroll down to show a picture of the truck,
yes, and this is just a generated rendering, but this is, for all intents and purposes, what we're looking at. This is I believe it's an international chassis with 12 to 14 yard capacity. And the sander's not shown, but it'll seasonally be placed in that dump body and be hydraulically driven as opposed to electric as we've had previously.
and if you go back up several pages, there on the quote itself, there is the detailed quote and 2 pages below it, but that is the total right there.
Question, did you do any digging on why Fort Worth gave such a number of so much lower? Was it due to contractual stuff that they might have, that's a pricing they give because of what they
Tarrant
buy?
County, not Fort Worth.
Oh, Tarrant County, excuse me,
Yeah.
sorry.
It was through Tarrant County, and it could have been for a number of reasons. We asked what they had paid on their last one. They may have had it ordered on a previous budget cycle, so that number could have had a huge jump a year behind us even.
Okay.
And we should have done some better due diligence. That's a mistake on my part. We thought we were good on this, but we just weren't. We are not positive why there was such a discrepancy, but some of it also had to do with upfitting.
It's a lesson learned.
Sounds good, thanks.
Yeah, I had a similar question, just how long ago did they give you that estimate from the county? And why did we go to the county to get a pricing on this thing and not go directly to the
We asked
manufacturer?
for the spec that they used and what they had purchased at the time of purchase. We felt that'd be a pretty good number. We actually added a little bit to it. And it's possible that they could have left off, some of these other fees, that's maybe even the base price of it, but just the cost of retrofitting and upgrading the truck for hydraulics. Maybe that was left out. It's really of no fault of the county. That's strictly on, my side of things. We should have had a build already ahead of time at budget time, and we didn't. And we went to them thinking that'd be a quick method of getting exactly the right components that all work together. We just, unfortunately, we're pretty deficient on the costs.
It is, so if you said consider it is recommended that we do it now. As you can see in this line item, there's a current charge of $3,500 for tariff charges that we have now. To wait beyond May 26th, we could experience much more greater tariff charges. But I would urge you to approve this. It's a much-needed piece of equipment and be very, very beneficial to the city of Haslet. I would entertain a motion.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like
Yes.
to make a motion to approve the $43,795.02 from the contingency fund to supplement the dump truck budget line item of $150,000 for a total purchase of $193,795.02.
Thank you. There is a motion made to approve $43,795.02 from the contingency fund to supplement the dump truck budget line item of $150,000 for a total purchase price of $193,795.02. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, council.
Thank you, council.
Item 7D, continuation of the April 7th, 2025 City Council Agenda Item 7C, discuss, consider, and act on joining the Metroport Chamber of Commerce. So council, we did a small write-up there to really kind of define the Chamber of Commerce, its activities, its roles. Also, next page, we did reach out to the chamber to define what are the costs, because it was mentioned in their fee schedule. So joining prior to October 1, 2025, that initial fee will be $28,950. Joining after October 1, 2025 is $27,550. And in either case, at the current fee, the annual fee is $12,150. I've had thoughts, and one thing you might take into consideration, the city of Haslet is a little different in its geographical arrangement. You know, cities like Justin and Roanoke particularly, they got a destination site called Texas Motor Speedway. Grapevine has the lake. Other areas up there, North Lake, again, Texas Motor Speedway. I would like to bring to your thought or your consideration, what if we're going to spend this kind of money, is a Chamber of Commerce unique to Haslet, Texas. It has rather unique needs, and here Haslet is in the middle of one of the most sophisticated logistical setups in the world, with all its industrial area around it. Also, and again, surrounded by the 11th largest city in the United States, but which other areas, other cities don't have. We've all looked at, retail coming and have hope for many, many years, but it just never did. And you look across the street and see Alliance, and I've said this before, look down south and you see Presidio, and here's North City as well. That kind of competition seems to has deterred retail developers. But yet, Haslet is coming in its time, as you can see previously, just on this update Mr. Schwenke was giving. Retail is coming a step at a time, and the activity is very much increasing. And why? We're running out of land, and the world, know it or not, knows our address. If you're anywhere in the logistics industry in the world, you know Haslet, Texas, because they want to be in this Alliance BNSF development area. So just a point of consideration. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any comment on this?
Yes, I think that it still is a smart decision to support small businesses and encourage economic development. I think looking back at our last agenda item, we were all in favor of retroactively paying a large amount of money for something that was important to our infrastructure and our citizens. And this, to me, is the opposite. We're being proactive in joining the Chamber of Commerce for our economic growth. So, I know I sent a lot of information when I contacted every community that's a part of the chamber, and I know Ms. Aldridge said she hadn't heard from anybody, so she said she was hoping that meant that there were no questions from council. But yeah, I still think it's a great opportunity for us to help grow our local economy. So I think it's something that the city of Haslet can benefit from.
Well, and I, and that's a reasonable thought. But I have looked back, yes, it was 2 years ago, we did not join again as we went through in budgeting many different memberships and those annual fees, and look at, well, what's our benefit from belonging to these organizations? What are they bringing to Haslet, Texas as a beneficiary? And just having to call it what it is, there were none. Now, a city can belong to, again, this particular Chamber of Commerce, the Metroport, is a regional Chamber of Commerce. And I believe Mr. Schwanke noted last time, a regional area doesn't work for one city at all. It's not going to encourage a business looking to locate in this North Texas area to locate to Haslet, Texas, or to Roanoke, or to anywhere else specific. And that's why I was suggesting that maybe a Chamber of Commerce for Haslet might be in line. As I read that agreement, and I've discussed it with Mr. Page, there's a couple of items in there, and I think there's 4 or 5 items specifically, and one of the last 2 on there, one is that the city will encourage every business to join the Metroport Chamber of Commerce. And I'm going, okay, yeah, well, that built up that chamber, but what does that do for the city of Haslet? And there was another item with regard, if you have those, Mr. Page, if you'd comment on them.
As the mayor mentioned, we had a discussion last week about a policy of admission, because it's really not an agreement. And so since that time, I during our conversation, we looked over the specific criteria. I had concerns specifically to kind of what obligations they were wanting the city to have in joining the Metroport Chamber. Some of the language they used was a bit vague, talking about a minimum membership community role. Since that time, though, I have seen the invoice, or the proposed invoice that's a part of the agenda packet. And so again, this invoice gives us more details about that. And so there is that membership fee, but there's also the mandatory fees for the luncheon and for the other sponsorships. And so I believe that's what they're talking about with the minimum membership community role, but that would be something that we would want to get clarification for, so that we know what we're signing up for, what we're agreeing to. And again, there's not really an agreement in place, so what's our right to terminate, or if there's a default or anything else like that. And again, I know it's a chamber, and so I assume, you should never assume, but I assume that they'll just send us an invoice October 1st and we can cancel. It doesn't say that explicitly.
Well, Mayor Holsey could probably speak to that, since we didn't join it 2 years ago. So there was no process or default or fee, correct?
No, there
Okay.
wasn't,
I didn't
though,
think so.
though they were quite angry.
I know she
that
said she
we
reached
didn't
out
pay
to talk to you, but
their annual fees.
yeah, she couldn't get a hold of you. I can speak to the luncheons. She
Okay.
said that it's a table where you have 8 to 10 spots, and anybody can come with the city. It can be, they encourage, council members and staff and the mayor, but they also, she said, encourage local businesses that don't have to be part of the chamber to go and just be a community partner. It's not there's no consequence or obligation, or it's not something, it's just something that they encourage, so they're part of the chamber partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, go
Sorry.
ahead.
From what I read, it was very vague. And when you have a chamber like this that represents several cities, how do you know that they're advocating for your city specifically? And you don't. I think you only get that when you have a chamber that's specific to your city. Otherwise, how do you know that, for example, a Target, a Walmart, that they're advocating to bring it to your city versus another city? And then the language was very vague. So it seems like more of a networking, for businesses. Why the city would join, what are you going to get from it? It's not very specific. And again, they're not going to be advocating just for Haslet and on behalf of Haslet.
Well,
So,
isn't that the whole idea for the luncheons are it being a networking platform, a networking tool that will put business owners in touch with city leaders, which if you foster that relationship appropriately, you can generate that business revenue. Whereas, in our instance, we don't have anybody within our city administration that is actually actively going out and looking for new businesses to come in and generate. Because one new restaurant wipes these fees out and actually puts us in the positive.
Well, Mr. Watkins, I'll have to disagree with you.
Well, you're
Yes,
allowed to.
there is someone in this administration doing that.
Who's that?
Mr. Schwenke and myself.
In addition to how many other duties that you guys have to do? I'm
Well,
talking about
that's
only
not
focus on
your concern.
recruitment.
Is that there is
As an
active-
oversight member of this council, it is my concern.
excuse-
Anything the city does is our concern because you need our approval. What are you
The-
talking about? It's not my concern, sir. No.
Order.
It's quiet.
There's
isn't it?
no, we're not arguing up here.
I'm not
We're
arguing, I'm just
if you're-
speaking to you.
If you make a statement that's incorrect, I will correct you.
No, it wasn't incorrect. It was your opinion, but it
No,
wasn't
it's
an
not
incorrect
my-
statement
my-
because you take
my
a multiple.
opinion, it is.
So your
correct.
only duty is to recruit new business. His only duty is to recruit new business. You have zero other job titles and duties and responsibilities as mayor and coordinator.
Well,
Because that's a lie if you say you don't. Remember,
I've heard the saying, ignorance is bliss, but that's not true. You're not happy.
is that true?
You do not understand what our businesses and days and the various activities that we do. Now, in administration, it covers a wide swath. Now, we do not have a full-time recruiter for retail businesses.
Okay, so my point is correct then.
No, it's not correct.
You just said
You're
we do not have a
misstating
full-time
and
recruiter for
characterizing-
businesses.
No, you said there is no one. No one.
No
that-
fully dedicated, full-time person, which you just
And
said
no-
is not
and
happening.
no will-
Which is
and nor
what joining
will
a
we.
chamber gives the benefit of, because when you don't have somebody that does it for full-time, it gives you the access to business owners.
I
Well-
don't think the chamber is actively going to go out and pursue retail to come to Haslet.
No.
Not specifically to Haslet.
I'm not saying they're going to, but it's going to give
So
us,
that's, you're not saying they're going to, but that's
sight
what you're
to
saying the
them.
mayor's not doing either, so which he is. This chamber's not going to do that. They're not going to go out and actively only advocate for Haslet.
They don't
I'm not
advocate
saying they
for
are.
any specific city.
but you get exposure. It's the exposure of
And
it.
I'd like to talk about what Justin said, which I forwarded to everybody. They said the chamber has proven to be a valuable resource for attracting new commercial development to the city. And it goes on to say, it is estimated over $393,000 annual ad valorem revenue. It talks about the generate approximately how much in local sales tax, $725,000, and that's Justin, which I think is the closest to us in size.
That's Justin, and
Right.
they're
So they gave a very glowing recommendation.
and they do. I think Roanoke does as well. I think Northlake does as well, and they have seen some direct return. And that's primarily to their destination of TML. They all have TML, Texas
Well, for
Motor
the epicenter,
Speedway.
we need people coming to us and not having to go out and.
And we actively, Mr. Schwenke and
I'm not, yes, I do. I know y'all are doing the best you can. I'm saying this is an additional resource that we could use in our city.
Okay. Well, I would ask you this. I would ask the council do this, is to consider the possibly, and that would be reaching out to our local businesses, because all of the local businesses that were members of this particular Chamber of Commerce have dropped out over the years.
Who are those? I know you mentioned we had 3,
We have 3
but she
current
said
ones.
Fast Signs isn't promotes with Fort Worth, so that's incorrect. The ones she listed were Cook's Children's Pediatrics and Community Med Family Urgent Care.
So there's 3, or do you have just 2?
Well, one is called Bob's Best Termite and Pest Control. I've never heard of them.
They are in the city of
They're-
Fort Worth.
They're on Schoolhouse Road, next to the tattoo shop. But I don't know if they're still in business.
No, they're not.
So that's the one I did. I took them off. So So 2.
So we have 2, but over the many years, for 19 years, none of them exist or maintain a membership. It's,
Like who is
So,
not?
I don't have that list of
And I don't
who
either.
is
I feel
not.
like I did my due diligence. I reached out to every community member. I got information. I talked with Ms. Aldridge. We have and I feel very confident in an informed decision moving forward, personally.
Okay.
So I'd like to make
Well,
a
very
motion.
good. I would just ask the council to talk to our local businesses, the ones in the city of Haslet, and would a chamber be beneficial to them? And that's the essence of a chamber of commerce, is the business networking, and how, in their mind, what could happen here in the city of Haslet to encourage more retail growth, because that's to their benefit, attracting more retail growth. And that is the essence of a chamber of commerce. So I would just ask you again to give it a different thought and do a little more investigation on your individual parts. I'm not asking any one person to do it and deliver it to everybody. Do it on your own.
So Mayor Halsey, I would like to make a motion. I would
Please.
like to join the Metroport Chamber of Commerce at the prior to October 1st, 2025 cost of $28,950 to be taken from the contingency fund.
A motion is made to join the Metroport Chamber of Commerce at prior to October 1, which would be $28,950 to be taken from the contingency fund. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There's a second. All in
Mayor.
favor?
Mayor, I said,
Yes.
before we take a vote, looking through all this, and, we're talking about economic growth, I think one of the things we should also pursue from the council is reach out to our EDC boards to see if they would be willing to invest in part of the initiation fee to get us back on board with the Chamber of Commerce. I think that would be a viable option for us. Be something to reach out to them and discuss.
All right then, well, I got a motion and second on the floor, and so you can reflect that in your vote. But motion is second on the floor. All in favor? So a motion passes. All opposed? 1. Very good. Executive session, we have none. So there's no any action taken from executive session. Future agenda items we have coming up, nominate mayor, a vote on Mayor Pro Tem. We have the stream realty variance requests coming up, be on our next meeting. Datamact professional services agreement, most likely that'll be a month away. And the Haslet TRA metering station, that would be expected to come up on our next council meeting.
One quick question. So on the May 13th special meeting, that'll only have that one agenda item?
That will not be on the agenda item.
Okay.
May 13th is very specifically to
To the
canvass the
election.
vote
Okay.
and swear in. The next regular council meeting is when a mayor pro
The
tem will
19th.
be nominated and voted on.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mayor, I'd like to add, for a future agenda item, I think pretty quick, back in March, we had, talking about the consultant that we hired for the appropriations group, and we had asked for an update on that, so I'd like to see if we could get an update, on what we're spending this $4,000 a month for, are we seeing any progress with that?
Yes, and I spoke with him just this last week, and I think Mr. Page has spoken with him recently with regard to a report, and that should be available for the next council meeting. All right then. All right, council, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Motion's made to adjourn. Second.
Mayor, I second.
All in favor?
All right.
It's unanimous. Thank you, council.